Two, one. Welcome back to, the third segment here. We have another special guest on. We're gonna go with DT. Uh, the man's name is Drew. We're going nicknames all across the board tonight. So we wanted to wrap up with a little college football talk. We're switching it up today. I usually start out with college football, but we're gonna shorten that segment up. Hit on a little playoff talk, and of course the Cox. And we know what? We're gonna get right
Here's
into it. Oh wow,
here's the thing, and,
wow.
and the reason, dude, we got so much time before these bowl games. We'll have this whole bowl preview once, and this is the third time I'm saying it. Our selfish third man. He's now our third man, Connor. He's just around when he wants to be. But we'll have a more extensive bowl preview down the road. But I mean, honestly, like I keep saying, I'm glad he's gone, so we have the chance to have these lovely gentlemen join us today. Drew, what do you got for us? What are your initial thoughts being as a part of this? I know you've wanted this has been a dream of yours.
Yeah, of course. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. My first initial thoughts is as we touched on a few minutes ago. I mean, LSU deserves that number one spot. Ohio State does not have the resume that LSU does, and watching every minute of the UGA game on Saturday with a ton of UGA fans, it was embarrassing on their part. There wasn't a single thing on the field, a single facet that they won, and they dominated the field up and down it. I just really think that they deserved it, and that just exemplified how their season has gone. I mean, Burrow's a dog, and he deserves that number one spot.
So
Now, Drew,
as
can real quick, Drew, can you confirm you did take the Georgia Bulldogs money line in that game?
I did. I took the Georgia Bulldogs money line in that game, and I regretted it from the moment that kickoff went off.
Gamecock fans here, not huge fans of the Georgia Bulldogs, I would imagine. However, I'd like to start with, a little Kirby Smart talk. Is Rick 2.0 another guy that's, just not going to he'll never win a national championship at Georgia?
Dude, he people have been calling him Will Muschamp just with more talent around him.
I've heard that as well. He doesn't take advantage of his stars. I mean, you got Swift. Why aren't you feeding the beast? You got to feed the beast every minute against that porous LSU defense. Obviously they're an SEC team, but they don't have the defense that they've had in years past. And I don't understand why you're not feeding the number one back in college football at least 25 times.
I completely agree with that. I am definitely in line. He is the best running back in college football. I think he'll be the best pro. Honestly, watching him, I've watched quite a bit of Georgia the last few years, and I think even when he was on the same team as Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, I thought he was easily the most talented guy on the roster. And you look at Kirby Smart and about as good as you can get from a recruiting standpoint. He's going to get whoever he wants year in and year out. But the in-game play calling, you've seen it the last 2 years against Alabama in the national championship and then the SEC championship last year. And then LSU this past weekend. The play calling is frightening. And then the development standpoint, it's hard to say, but Fromm has gotten worse since his freshman year, and it's borderline embarrassing.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, you watch a guy like Fields. Fields goes to Ohio State. He's the second best quarterback in college football now, right? Like all it took was a little bit of getting under Kirby Smart's thumb, and now the man is the most stat. He has the best stats out of anyone in college football.
Yeah. So, and then from I want to mention the play calling. So I could not. So Georgia has, I thought going into that game, the best defense in college football. That could still be up for debate after what they did against LSU. But what you had to do against LSU. You can't give Burrow time in the pocket to throw the ball because anytime he had time all year, he was going to absolutely light it up. And Georgia decides to drop 8 guys and rush 3 at points in that game, and it just it was bizarre that he was not blitzing on any second and third and long. At least try and put pressure on Burrow because LSU's run game is good, not great. It was baffling to me.
I just while we were talking about, I was kind of thinking about what we have involved here. Specifically, Drew said second best quarterback Justin Fields, but have you just looked at and thought about the 4 quarterbacks that we have in the playoff this year? This has to be the best
Oh, it's crazy.
4 quarterbacks that we've had in any playoff ever. With Burrow, Fields, Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. That's unbelievable.
But there's a huge drop-off in the skill level between the first 3 you mentioned and then Hurts. Hurts is not a good quarterback, but he's got the best receiver in college football who he can use as a safety blanket no matter any time he gets in trouble.
And I think the coaching, I don't know if it's a development standpoint, but just Lincoln Riley is just as good as it gets at putting quarterbacks in situations to be successful. You know, you can say the same about Saban with Tua, but, you know, Tua was put in situations where he got injured, and you have not seen that with any of the Oklahoma quarterbacks.
Hurts is definitely talented enough to find himself in the best quarterback system in the country and succeed. So that's why they've been as good. If their defense shows up like they did against Baylor, it's not going to matter. They're not going to beat LSU. But they could keep it close for a half, close enough before LSU just buries them in the second half. But I don't think that's going to happen. Like, they're going to have the best game of the year after coming off their best game of the year. LSU, though, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, in a couple episodes in the future, but LSU is going to blow them out.
Do you think Baylor's a good football team?
I think that they're maybe the toughest, dude, because of their coach. Not necessarily the most talented, but that was a good win. And they did beat them twice, which is really tough to do against a top 10 team. I don't know, but like I said, LSU is gonna smoke them.
You know what? I don't know if they're going to smoke them, but I see that 46, 34 type game that's close going into the fourth, just because I don't think LSU is going to be able to stop the Oklahoma offense. I really don't. And vice versa, obviously. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring, close game, closer than the experts think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
But from the Oklahoma perspective, I was reading, or it may have been a podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about the quarterback situation at Oklahoma. And so going into this year, Oklahoma signed, his name is Spencer Rattler, a 5-star quarterback, the number 2 quarterback in the class. Would they have been better off just starting this kid from day one and letting him develop throughout the year? Because I think they could still be in this situation right now with a true freshman quarterback. There's not any other games on their schedule that they would have lost. Like, they could very easily be 11-1 as well.
Is he redshirting?
I would assume. I don't think he's playing the game.
If he's redshirting,
he's redshirted.
I don't hate it at all because, I mean, being able to work under a quarterback who's been to the playoff before and going back and just seeing like that, the kind of the behind the scenes stuff and how to learn there is good without actually being in the game, because he'd probably show up at the playoff and I don't know how he's going to do against a team like LSU, but I don't know. I don't think it's bad if he's not losing a year.
Correction there. He is not a redshirt. He's active. He played in 2 games this year.
I think you can play in less than 4. I think they changed the rule, and he could still redshirt.
Yeah, I believe it's 4 less games, and you can redshirt. Okay. So before we move on to the Cox, I think we should just go quickly. Offensive units, defensive units, rank these playoff teams by unit. I'll give you guys a second to think about it. Defensively, I would say Clemson, number 1, Ohio State 2, LSU 3, Oklahoma 4. Offensively, I would probably, you have to go LSU 1, Ohio State 2, Oklahoma 3, Clemson 4. What do you guys think of those?
I would go, if I'm going with defense, I'm saying Ohio State 1, Clemson 2, LSU 3, Oklahoma 4. Offense, LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson.
Okay.
I think that's the same as your offenses too.
Yeah.
but I had Ohio
Yeah.
State number 1. Drew?
Yeah, so I'm right there with you on defenses. I mean, Ohio State number 1, a very clear number 1 for me. I mean, Chase Young's the best player in the country. It's not even close there.
And Okudah's the best corner. He got hurt, but he'll be fine with a lot of time to rest.
Oh,
he's a friggin' stud too.
Yeah, and then the number 2 again. There's a big gap between 1 and 2, but Clemson 2. Then I'd say Oklahoma. I mean, if they can turn it on like they did against Baylor, I've seen nothing out of LSU's defense all year, right? That has shown me that they have the ability to turn it on and stop these 3 elite offenses with 3 great quarterbacks. So LSU 3 or Oklahoma 3, then LSU 4 on D. Then number 1. I'm gonna switch it up on you guys. I think Ohio State's the best offense in this, and then LSU, Oklahoma, and then Clemson.
So DT, why don't you give us your? I mean, I have a feeling I know where you're going now, but give us your semifinal picks and then your national champion.
All right. I think LSU's gonna win. I think it's going to be, like you said, a high-scoring game. I think like 45-37. 45-36, and Ohio State is going to beat the doors off of Clemson. I'm thinking 23-10. I think we're going to see a much more defensive struggle than we're expecting. And then I'm going to Ohio State national championship, 34-23.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't hate it. Ohio State's defense has received some flack the last few weeks. Shea Patterson was great in the first half, and then Wisconsin was able to run the ball in the first half. But you mentioned Okudah's injury and that Michigan game. Shaun Wade, who's probably another first-round pick in that secondary, did not play against Michigan. I think that hurt him. I'm really not so excited for a semifinal game since the inception of the playoff. This Clemson-Ohio State game. I think this is the best and closest semifinal game we will have. DC did not think so, or DT, I'm sorry, did not think so. I think Ohio State will handle them, but I think it'll be really close. I think it'll be possibly the best game of the playoff. I personally think Ohio State and Clemson are the 2 best teams in the country. LSU's right there as well. But I don't disagree that with the seeding. I think at this point, LSU should be number 1, like you mentioned at the top of this segment. My one thing that I have an issue with, though, is LSU should have been number 1 the whole year. Yeah. I don't understand the last minute flip. I think going into that, LSU should have been number 1 before that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't understand that.
The committee was very knee-jerk. Like, they did that when they flipped it the first time, and then they flipped it because LSU dominated a pretty mediocre Georgia team, although Georgia was ranked 4, kind of by process of elimination, whereas Ohio State struggled for a full half against a number, 11 ranked Wisconsin team. So they're very knee-jerk in how they did that, but I would agree there.
Yeah, Clemens, I feel you 100% on that. Committee was all eye test. They're saying, Ohio State keeps scoring all these points. I think them scoring 73 on Maryland made the committee think, oh, wow, they're this incredible football team that could smack everybody. But LSU's the clear number 1. I mean, they've got the best resume we've probably ever seen in since the college football playoff came out.
Yeah. But Drew's on. He's on Ohio State. Chad, did you get to that point of your prediction yet?
Are we doing those predictions this week, or did we want to wait?
You're right. We should wait. We'll blue ball them. We're going to blue ball them until we have our friggin' selfish third man. I'll say for the 4th time. Connor.
Yeah. Drew, any other bowl games that stick out to you? You know, those get going in, a couple weeks now. Are there any bowl games that are must watch in your eyes that you're going to be, glued to the TV for? I had a couple off the top.
You could also view these as your favorite to bet on. if you would like.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna start off with the ones that I'm looking forward to the most. That Oregon-Wisconsin game is going to be incredible, I think. I think both of those teams are extremely underrated. I mean, Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor should be in that Heisman race. That man should be going to New York. It's ridiculous in my eyes that he's not even considered for it. But I think that O-line of Wisconsin versus the defensive line of Oregon is going to be a good matchup. And then I want to see what Justin Herbert can do on the big stage. And then there was one other one kind of under the radar here. I want to see what Buffalo versus Charlotte.
Dude, I was looking at that. That one kicks us off a short 9 days away at 2 p.m. I was looking at that one. That one's in the Bahamas. Charlotte representing.
Right? It's crazy. They're both so hot right now. And, I mean, Charlotte, I think, has won 10 in a row, I believe, was what I just read. And Buffalo, I think, is 5. They're 7-5. Okay, so not that much, but they've won.
They've won 5 in a row. They've won 5 in a row.
Okay, but still, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a game, and I think that's just something that not a lot of people are looking at. And if I'm betting on that one, I'm taking Buffalo.
Wow. Okay, you heard it here first, folks. John, one early lock I want to throw out there to the listeners.
I have one too, dude. I just got super excited about a game.
Okay. Mine is pound. Everyone at home right now, pound the under 42 on Georgia Baylor. They may not score over 20 points total. Absolutely love the under there. I see a 10-7 ball game.
Okay. All right, I don't hate it. Dude, I absolutely love the Cotton Bowl. Memphis against Penn State. Memphis is winning this one outright. I love them in here. Like, they are going to win this game.
I don't hate that.
Every year, the best of 5 team kind of shows out in their New Year's Six Bowl or whatever this is. Like whatever. What's the next layer after the playoff? Is it New Year's Six? Even though it's actually the 28th.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it's like that's the same. It's the same day as like the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta and like what's the Rose Bowl? Probably I don't know. But dude, Memphis is gonna win this game. Wow. I'm saying it outright. Penn State. I believe I saw James Franklin just got an extension. He's just gonna be in La La Land with all his new money, dude. He's not gonna be coaching. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Memphis wins.
All
That's
right.
my early look ahead. That's my early look ahead here. I'm gonna put it on the table.
A little teaser for next week.
Since,
Drew, before
since I won't be back, my lock of the bowl season, Notre Dame -3.5 against Iowa State. You slam that. You put your mortgage on that. You bet your firstborn son's name on that. They are going to ruin Iowa State. Iowa State has looked so bad this year, and Notre Dame is looking to prove that they don't deserve all this flack for being an independent.
Dude, it is honestly unreal that the spread is that small for a 10-2 and a 7-5. Kind of freaky, but I honestly couldn't agree more. I was looking at that one because it's right underneath the Memphis Penn State game on the ESPN app. So I was looking at that and I was like, wow, Notre Dame is a slight favorite. I love it. The Camping World Bowl.
Oh, you slammed that one.
I like that a lot as well. I mean, we may need to hire a few people after tonight's episode, but Drew, before we let you go, I am. It's exciting. I'm done with Connor. I think we need to hire new people. But Drew, before we let you go, give me your thoughts on the latest hire down in Gamecock land.
So I'm a huge fan of Bobo. I mean, at Georgia, he showed he was an elite recruiter. The man, what I like the best about him is he's a Georgia boy. I mean, you saw his tweet today back in the 229. That's right down here in South Georgia. He's recruiting in my home state, which is where the best football players in this country come from. And I love it. I think he's going to transform that offense and turn Helinski to the next level.
Yeah, I'm pretty freaking excited about it too. How long was he at Colorado State? Like a year?
No. He left the year the year before Richt left. So I want to say he's been there 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
He was at Colorado State a total of 5 years.
5 years.
And he had a record of 28-35. So I mean, not the best, but the man, you can't recruit to Colorado State. Who's going to want to go to Colorado State?
Yeah, and he might just be better in that coordinator capacity, quarterback coach capacity too.
I mean,
but I mean, he worked with Stafford, Murray, and David Green. I mean, those were all good Georgia quarterbacks. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, he had some offense, some talent there. His last year may have been if it was 5 years ago, so he would have been there that last year with
AJ Green.
Gurley, Michelle, Chubb, and then
he would have been before that.
Okay, but Chris Conley, a couple of those decent receivers as well. He made those offenses tick. So hopefully, I'm indifferent with South Carolina. So I'd like to see them back.
Sounds like you got a little emotional right there. You felt it a little bit.
I could place an over on South Carolina win total next year. I could
do it again next year. I'm ready to get hurt again.
Chad, why would you do that, man? We are consistently going to let you down. Everything that I've learned as my 6 years being a South Carolina fan is don't bet on my team.
Maybe I can help turn that luck around.
Please do, because we need it.
Maybe. Well, Drew, any last minute thoughts here before we let you go and ride off onto your noble steed for the night?
Can't think of anything. It's been a pleasure being on with you guys. Hope to be back soon.
Absolutely. We will run it back. Chad, what do you got for the listeners to conclude the show?
I don't have much. It's that time of year that it really just gets everyone excited, puts everyone in a good mood. Some parts of the country, like back up in good old upstate New York, you got some snow on the ground. You love to see it. Don't love the ice. I'll avoid Syracuse, New York. But it was great having these guests on. Really good change of pace. Really done with Connor. So that's nice. And with that,
I just want to say, guys, get yourself a nice jacket for the season. It's getting cold out. You want to look good. You want to look your best. I made some Cyber Monday shopping. It's been approved by numerous outlets. I would say, get yourself a nice outfit for the season. That's all I got.
Some potential upcoming future guests that we are excited about. It's in the works right now. A lot of John's friends. I love to have them. They're just enjoyable people. Hopefully we get the beautiful Alyssa on here sooner rather than later. But with that, adios.